that Joe Good was bad news.
It was disturbing. Every time you see a police car drive by, are they coming for me? You're on pins and needles all the time.
The bond that almost led to marriage breaks in the time it takes to send an email. Tawny Scorn hacks Joe's personal email account, and an epic cyber-stalking campaign begins. First campaign stop, Joe's employer.
That night, I just went to bed, got up the next morning real early, went into work, opened up my work email, and there's 14 emails that I was CC'd on that were sent to the CEOs of the company.
Saying what?
Pornography in D.C.
As if all of this isn't frightening enough, Tawny is about to tighten the screws, entering even more dangerous and demented territory.
Hey, human family, how are you? It's Darren. Welcome to another episode of Fully Alive Again. You guys, I have a really informative reaction video for you today that's really going to illustrate what smear campaigns look like and just how destructive these type of campaigns are. Before I go into today's video, I want to answer a few questions that I was asked over the weekend. And one of those questions was, why do I do shows like this? The answer is I do shows like this to really drive home the ugliness, the vulgarity, and the demonic energy that narcissistic people have and use to destroy their target. It is my personal opinion that we are way too light and congenial in explaining to the public what narcissism is. We water down these things without even knowing it, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Narcissism is very ugly. It's one of the ugliest, if not the ugliest things about human existence, and it needs to be shown in the clear light of what it is. The other question was, why do I use women as the example most of the time? I do this because we live in a gynocentric society. You see, my mother, for the things that she did to her children, should be in jail. My ex-wife, for the things that she did to my daughter and my relationship with my daughter, should be in jail. But both these women were protected immediately under a gynocentric system that protects women and believes them first. And they have certain systems that automatically go into gear to protect these women. So I also do this and use women most of the time because in today's world, there are at least half of our population, more or less, give or take, that believe male energy is destructive, that a patriarchal system is the problem with the world, and if we all just had women running the world and got rid of these bad men, that the world would be some type of utopia with butterflies, that all women would just be floating around, shitting butterflies, unicorns, and rainbows. That's all they do. And that's not the case. We have to look at the world the way that it really is. And one of the biggest problems in every corridor, every agency, industry, system in the world are people trying to fix things that they don't understand. Understanding narcissism and female narcissism is imperative when it comes to all of the social issues that our country and world face. I want you to know this. Every strategy that I give, every tactic that I explain can easily cross over to men. And if you watch all of my episodes, I communicate that on every show. So I know there are men that are just as destructive, just as many men that are narcissists, but we men don't have the platform or the protection that women do. So I use women more often, and it's also been my experience that the most destructive things that have impacted my life have come from narcissist women. Okay, you guys? So for those of you that are easily triggered, are in the early stages of your narcissistic understanding and development and healing journey, you might want to skip this and come back at a later date. And for the rest of us, let's do what we do and dive deep.
No tears, no fears, fully alive again after 6 years.
While coaching his son's football team, Joe Good was bowled over, not by the play, but by the pretty blonde on the sidelines, Tawny Blazejowski.
Her son was on the same team as my son. And we started, dating after when I got divorced.
Joe and Tawny could have been a modern-day Brady Bunch. Tawny is mom to 4. Joe is the father of 2, each with a divorce under their belt, and together they found passion.
And she was a lot of fun. She was a great change from marriage.
Life with her was pretty good.
She was awesome.
And what the smiles on boozy Caribbean cruises tell in pictures, Tawny's love letters tell in words.
She's very passionate and enthusiastic in everything she does.
Were you ever in love with her?
Yeah, I was in love with her.
Their love blossoms here along the shores of sunny St. Augustine, Florida. Life.
There was a lot of use of the word love in that first clip. All of us in the Western world, all of us who have been exposed to movies and the energy coming from Hollywood, have been conditioned to see love in a really mutated way. We must discern between love and lust. We must discern between thrills and excitement and rapport and authentic connections. We must learn that speed kills. When a relationship, this is a preventative tip not to end up in a smear campaign in the first place, is tip number 1 is speed kills. If the relationship is sparks flying, fireworks, and everything is just so exhilarating, step back, walk away, and reassess. I really mean this.
Did you ever get any indication that there might have been something a little bit off with her?
There were red flags. She would get upset about things.
Didn't go away.
No, they kept on, and the time frame between when she'd get mad got shorter and shorter. And it escalated to where finally she asked me, do you want me to just go ahead and cancel the vacation I got planned for you? And I said, yeah, sure, I'm done.
You see, not addressing the red flags is a problem that sets us up with failure, not addressing them early on. By the time he decided to address these red flags, just like most of us, his demise was already in play. We cannot be afraid of hurting people's feelings or be afraid of confrontation. I was never that way with a man, but with women, I always gave them the benefit of the doubt. I always wanted to be the nicer guy and helping mollify whatever problems they were going through. I tried to fix them. This is a recipe for disaster. Hold people accountable. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to help heal the wounds of who they are. These wounds are insurmountable. You cannot change these people. All that you can do is confront them and protect your sanity, your identity, and your life.
About a half hour after that conversation, I get a text message on my phone that my Yahoo password had been changed.
The bond that almost led to marriage breaks in the time it takes to send an email. Tawny scorned, hacks Joe's personal email account, and an epic cyber-stalking campaign begins. First campaign stop, Joe's employer.
That night, I just went to bed, got up the next morning real early, went into work, opened up my work email, and there's 14 emails that I was CC'd on that were sent to the CEOs of the company.
Saying what?
Pornographic pictures.
Not just any pornographic pictures, one of them features Joe in, well, happier times. We won't go any lower, but Tawny would. She FedExes these packages to all of the members of his company's board. Inside, sex toys and condoms.
Now, I really want you to hear what I'm saying, because if you grasp this, this is really going to illustrate just how evil these people are. He hung up the phone the night before, letting her know that their relationship probably isn't going any further. She warned him that she had all of this stuff on him that she had been gathering. Do you see how evil that is? They never plan to stay with you. They plan to destroy you. Regardless, even if he went on the trip, she just would have sucked life out of him for as long as possible. But once they know that you are done with them, or you're not giving them the narcissistic supply, they unleash the smear campaign that they've been putting together for years. Do you see the demonic energy there? Do you see how these people really are agents of chaos? They are deadly and destructive. So tip number 2 is to make your sanity and remaining calm your number 1 priority. Do not prioritize trying to prevent them from destroying you. Don't get me wrong. That's secondary. Remember, while dodging rocks and bullets, deal with bullets first. The rocks are what they are doing. The bullets are losing your mind and making things even worse. When you're going through a smear campaign and dealing with the narcissist at any stage, your mantra should be, at least every half hour, saying to yourself out loud or silently, calm mind, calm body, I'm in control. Calm mind, calm body, I'm in control. Stabilize your mind, get as calm as you can, and then try to defend yourself as much as possible, but always remaining calm and wise enough to know that their flying monkeys have already pledged their loyalty to them, and that you're going in an uphill battle, and choose your battles well. Tip number 3, if you're feeling the warning signs and seeing the red flags, and you should do this regardless anyway, take extra precautions to protect your online accounts, to protect your social media accounts, and give a warning to everyone on your social media accounts that if you see anything strange, any strange messages, if you see any strange post, any strange comments coming from me, please let me know, because I'm dealing with someone right now who is cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And to also let your employers, friends, and family know. Tip number 3, give everyone a heads up that you can, that there may be some strange things happening in the future because of my girlfriend, because of my friend, because of my husband, wife, boyfriend, etc. Once you see these kind of red flags and once you are breaking up with a narcissist.
If your colleague seeing you naked isn't the stuff of nightmares, surprise! The torment really begins with a polite knock on the door at 2 a.m.
The night of October 19th, things changed.
What happened that night?
1:30, opened up the door, and there's a police officer. Yeah, and he goes, Mr. Good, yeah, we'll step on out here. So you want to tell me what happened? You and your girlfriend have a little altercation tonight? I was like, what are you talking about? I've been here all night long.
In the middle of the night, Tawny drives to the sheriff's office. The pictures of her bloodied face show what she told cops that night. Joe beat her.
Do you think she had it in her to whack herself in the face?
Oh yeah, slam a door on her face.
She was able to exploit these systems that are there to actually protect us, systems that we have faith in.
I ended up going to jail that night. Because here's the thing, a girl says a guy hit her. Most people think, wow, the guy hit her. They don't think the girl's lying.
You guys, this tip is exceedingly important. Once you see one attempt to smear you. There are more on the way. Contact your boss, your coworkers, go to the police department and tell them your situation after the first sign of a smear campaign. You have to take this very seriously. You can end up broke, living in your car, homeless, angry. You can end up hurting someone because they will take you deep into the abyss. Do not play with this. Go to the proper authorities. Go to everyone in your family, your workplace, and to the police department and whomever else needs to know this. Your children's school, etc. Let people know what you are dealing with and that there may be some strange behavior and lies about me coming your way. This is what I'm dealing with. Do that ASAP, but make sure you're in a calm state. Make sure you're talking about the facts. Don't go in there in hysterics to the police or to the school because they've already tried to make you look crazy, and they may have already started the smear campaign in those institutions and departments. Be calm, be thorough, and just tell them that you're taking a preventative action because you don't know how low this person will go. Does that make sense? But use your own discretion. But remember, the first things first, stay calm and operate with a calm mind. Strategize with a calm mind. And I just want to pepper this in. You notice he said the whole entire system that are there to protect him turned against him and believed her. This was before the Me Too movement.
Despite Joe's alibi, a judge slaps him with a protection order, which Tawny then uses to get Joe arrested a second time. She tells cops that Joe is making harassing calls, threatening her life. How does she pull this off? Well, she's become an expert in spoofing, a cyber stalking trick that makes it seem as if Joe is calling Tawny, even when he's not.
So she's now calling the police saying that I'm calling her breaking the injunction violation.
Then Tawny spoofs again, making it appear as if Joe's threatening her from his work number. And this time she says she's got the voicemails to prove it. Listen.
I still have a gun. I know where you are, and I'm coming for you. I should have told you.
We now know it's probably Tawny digitally manipulating her voice. But back then, cops hadn't caught on yet, and they arrest Joe for a third time. By now, his employer has had it. They fire Joe.
Do you see how devastating these smear campaigns can be? Can you imagine going to jail and sitting in jail for something that you did not do? One of the things, I kid you not, you guys, that saved me during the smear campaign that I was going through with my ex-wife was that I stayed calm and I could see her moving the chessboard. She was trying to set me up for sexual allegations against my little girl. And I saw it so clearly. I could not even allow my daughter to stay overnight with me because she had set these things into play. She took me to court for a false restraining order that would have ruined my career and the opportunity to do the kind of work that I was doing. And I can continue with the horrible things that these people do. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir to a lot of you who have already gone through this. This is why you have to take this very seriously. And I'm telling you, if I didn't remain calm and went into a panic state, I would still be sitting in jail right now. I probably would have ended myself. But this is how low these people will go. It's sheer evil. They not only create a smear campaign on the outside world against you, they condition your children from day one to turn against you. where their reality is so skewed that you might as well tap out at a certain point, because your children will no longer be able to distinguish reality from the false reality that your wife or husband has done to the children. This stuff is ugly. It's as dangerous as it gets. And yet we still water down and play with this as if this isn't evil and demonic and has the destructive energy that they have.
During all of this, Joe takes a little vacation with his new girlfriend, Mariella Murphy. One wonders why he'd ever return, but when he does...
There's the airport security asking, "You Mr. Good?" "Yes, sir. Step over here with me." They'd got a tip that I was smuggling drugs in from D.C.
Found nothing, of course.
Found nothing.
You see, guys, tip number 5 is that a smear campaign never ends. He had moved on with his life. Months had gone by. He's dating someone else, maybe even a year. I can't remember. He's dating someone else, and she's still trying to destroy this man. A smear campaign never ends. A narcissist is who they were when you met them and who they will be until they perish into the darkness of hell, hopefully. But my point here is that they are what they are. And tip number 5 is that the smear campaign never ends in their mind. Do not trust them. Do not give them the opportunity to harm you again.
I said, "There's aspirin in there, but that's the strongest you're going to get." Somehow she found out that I was going to D.C.
As if all of this isn't frightening enough, Tawny is about to tighten the screws, entering even more dangerous and demented territory. Listen to this. It's Tawny calling the Florida abuse hotline.
There was allegations of him having sex with his daughter, and he's provided all of his children with alcohol.
But Tawny's just getting warmed up.
He himself gets drunk. I think he is having sex with these young teenage girls because he's into child pornography.
Did that ever happen?
No.
But still, investigators don't believe Joe. After all, he's been arrested 3 times. Growing bolder, Tawny now makes it dangerous to just know Joe. People finding coast to coast for 7 months, all connected to her ex-fiance, Joe Good.
How would you define what Tawny did to you?
It was total harassment.
She got him fired, humiliated, blasting his nude photo to his bosses, arrested, accusing him of beating her, investigated, claiming he ran a children's porn ring.
I did everything I could to stay away from her. She was one step ahead of me the whole time.
Cleverly convincing the sheriff's office.
One of the things that bothers me the most when I hear psychologists do their word salad online about narcissism in the way that they're trying to paint it and not really painting it as dark and evil as it is that these people are not calculated, that they're not aware of what they're doing, that it's a temporary loss of insanity. It's like they're bipolar or something, or borderline, and all of the different categories that they put these demonic people in, is that they know what they're doing. They're very calculated. Just look at how this woman, line by line, decided to destroy this man and had it down to nuances of how she was going to do it. This is the real example of how these people operate.
In the door, she was home.
Yes.
What'd she look like?
Like a mother at home with her kids.
Totally normal.
Totally normal.
But there was nothing normal about the tiny spiral notebooks Tawny kept in her bedroom. Turns out while her kids were studying, Tawny was scheming.
So this is the first notebook that you saw.
Yes.
So you start flipping through it, and what goes through your mind?
That I can't believe it's actually all here.
7 notebooks, hundreds of pages, daily notes to herself. It's explosive evidence in Tawny's own schoolgirl's handwriting. A meticulous list of her many lies, every detail of her sinister plan in plain ink. Reminders, print naked pic, call self 1,000,000 times. Even Get picture of decomposed corpse. Dates. March 11th, filed police report on Joe. March 21st, Joe arrested at work. March 28th, made report of child abuse. And once completed, each dirty deed crossed off the list. On the margins, the haunting word, done.
I certainly did not think I would walk out of that home and have a manuscript of everything she had done and planned on doing.
You see, everything that you go through with a narcissist, the hell that they put you through, the horrific things that they do are not an accident. They're not spontaneous. Now, are they spontaneous in their emotional outbreaks and things of that nature? Of course. As strange as it may sound, a part of them is human. But the demonic energy that runs through them is very calculated. Nothing that happened to you was an accident. You see, and what a lot of people think, well, these are psychopaths. These are sociopaths. These aren't like my narcissists. Yes, they are. They're all the same thing. I could give a shit what the DSM says about this. I really mean that. These people exhibit these types of behavior contingent on the environment that they're in. They can be a covert narcissist, an overt narcissist, a sociopath, a psychopath. Whatever the DMN list, they are these types of people contingent on the environment, the person, and the experience. Dark energy is dark energy. Demonic energy is demonic energy. Not having empathy and not being able to feel is all the same thing. The intellectual clutter that they besiege us with is really good at showing the behavior, the tendencies that these people operate in. But it's all in one. Rest assured. Don't underestimate that with your narcissist. You will find yourself in a mess. Just because they have an exhibit these types of behavior does not mean that they won't and that they are not capable of doing these types of things. This is who they are. It drives me nuts to hear people say they don't know what they're doing. And well, it's complicated. Whenever I hear complicated, I almost shut my ears off. I really do. I listen because I want to grow and I want to keep an open mind. But these things are not that complicated. There are demonic, evil people who cannot feel. And this makes them capable of the most horrific crimes and behaviors that you can imagine. Some are more refined, some are more educated, some are more conscious and aware of their movement and what they're doing. They're more sophisticated. They have a higher level of savoir-faire about them. But make no mistake, they are all the same thing. And you see how calculated this woman was and this man's demise. Do not underestimate these people. Cover your ass. Stay away from them as much as possible. Do not fear them. They're not 10 feet tall. They are masterminds at trying to set up a smear campaign, but they are not smarter than you. They just got the jump on you. They are not superior in any shape of the word. They are just skilled at things that sentient human beings never needed to or never decided to be skilled upon. These people are really small, fragile, and fucking nuts on the inside. Don't underestimate them. Take them seriously, but don't put them as they are superior to you, because they are not. But if you underestimate them, and if you try to be congenial and just be a doormat, this is what can happen.
Joe Good is forever transformed by one woman's obsession and those neat little notebooks.
There were some things that were not yet crossed off. Do you think if she hadn't been arrested, she would have kept going?
I'm sure she would have.
Joe Good had been arrested 3 times for not having done anything wrong.
Correct.
I mean, does the department feel guilty about that, or?
Absolutely. It's changed us forever as far as investigators.
While he's waiting for those arrests to be expunged from his record, Joe's gone from making almost 6 figures to doing lawn work.
If she were here right now and you could ask her any question or tell her anything, what would you say?
Why couldn't you just let go?
She couldn't let go, man, because she's a Luciferian agent of chaos. There is dark energy pulsating through her. You were still breathing and standing and still sane. She still had work to do as a Luciferian agent of chaos. Now remember, some will take you down slowly, a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Some will feed on your sanity forever until you both die. These people operate differently. Some like to do it slow and marinate, like a bear that chews on your leg while you're still alive. Some predators go for the throat and take you out before they eat you. The main thing is that you realize these are all one and the same, and the devastation that they bring to you. Now, the good news is that this lady did 9 years in jail and 19 years of probation. So there were some consequences delivered to her, which I know we all wish so desperately that our narcissists would get the justice that they deserve too. But that's 9 times out of 10, that's not always the case. Although I do think as we continue to move the message out into the world, these people will be spotted and handled accordingly and be prosecuted for the horrific things that they do. But nonetheless, this man's life was destroyed by this woman. And even so, even though his life was almost ruined by this woman, completely ruined by this woman, he is still better off than she is. And not because she's been prosecuted and went to jail, by the very essence of who he is. Do you know how miserable you have to be to do these kind of things to people? Can you imagine the darkness and how these people feel, and the unhappiness and misery and fear and shame and disgust that exists inside of them? This is why it's always better to even be decimated, destroyed, broken, and damaged by an ass clown narcissist than to be an ass clown narcissist. All right, you guys, I've got nothing but love for you. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I deeply appreciate you. And please share your thoughts and comments about today's show. Have you experienced a smear campaign? And what did you learn from it? And what would you tell someone who is going through a smear campaign? Please share your wisdom below. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. And until then, peace. Be well.